Today I'm ranking the 13 fighters making up Team Purgatory and Kengan Mega from weakest to strongest. Now that the tournament is about to end, I have enough information to do a proper ranking. Yes, it's possible more information could be revealed in the future via character profiles or other means like Sandovich answering questions. Thus, some things will be interchangeable, but I'll explain my reasoning throughout. Take note that a character ranked higher doesn't mean he can't lose against a lower rank. That's one of the main appeals about Kengan for me personally. The idea that anything could happen in a fight and no one for the most part is 100% safe. The beauty of compatibility and circumstances, you could say. The rankings will consider everything a fighter can do, like who per se beats more people or does better as a whole. Some characters will be mentioned in groups representing fighters I believe are very interchangeable. Before beginning, make sure to leave a like. Let's say when this video hits 2,000 likes, I'll release my Team Kengan ranking video. Also subscribe for more Kengan content. Now, let's start. Rank 13 is Tarashi, the Silent Nightmare. I think most people were expecting Tarashi out here. He's a professional assassin, not a fighter, whose whole purpose in the story was to kill Nicholas, or still is to kill Nicholas to be fair. He pretty much calls himself the weakest fighter on the team, and is called an amateur compared to others by various Kengan fighters. Yes, he has some pretty OP abilities like his Shivering and Imperial Eye, but currently Tarashi just isn't skilled enough in this field. Next we have the first group rank, making up 12, 11 and 10, which includes Alan Wu, Yumi and Falcon. Alan is a fighter in today's video with the most little information known to gauge his power. The leader of the main branch of the Wu calls him one of the most dangerous members of Edward Wu's faction. His character profile confirms that his removal was at 100% and that he is a top class fighter without a doubt, with him pretty much getting unlucky in fighting Kure Ryan, one of the strongest in the verse. Considering all this, you could say he's much higher in the list, or perhaps stronger than Falcon and Yumi, but that's the really highest I can put him with the very little he demonstrated in the story. And the fact that he didn't do too well against a non-serious base Ryan during the early portions of the fight as well. Falcon will one day be top of the verse when he masters the summoning technique to become Hokage, but for now he's pretty much on Ryuto's level, with a unique fighting style and of course the poison toe to assist him. However, he's nerfed quite a bit in rematches, or if anyone really knows his fighting style, limiting him as a whole. Maybe if we got his Purgatory win record would have a better idea to compare, but for now he's pretty much Ryuto level, not that impressive. Yumi is another character hard to gauge due to the circumstances of his fight and of course his personality. His character profile does say he was definitely the weakest out of all the Fangs, and that Matsudo chose him as Fang because of his growth potential and ambition, not his skill or overall power at the time. He's defeated Jose 2 times, but has lost around 5 times against Purgatory fighters before Misasa, with him being implied to have gotten weaker since leaving Kengan. However, he's not as weak as some say. He pressured Misasa quite a bit during the early stages of their fight, and has some decent moves, and also defeated my fighter in rank 9, which is Nicholas Labana. Similar to Yumi, he has a pretty trash record, but that's partly due to his personality and limitations in Purgatory rules. In his fight with Okoya, he was much more impressive than the other fighters already mentioned, including Yumi, who we know defeated him in the past, but he kinda acts like he doesn't remember it, showing Nicholas's uncaring personality yet again. According to Lo Long, Nick is strong when cornered, possessing dynamism on par with top A-listers, also kinda shitting on Yumi and praising Nicholas at various times. Looking at his fighting style and abilities, he is quite overpowered, having reaction speed second to only Okoya, with him being able to attack nerves and cause paralysis. As such, he can keep people stun locked, but the timing is random and inconsistent, creating issues. Pretty much, he excels against fighters who prefer to block rather than dodge. One major issue I do have, in the later portion of his fight against Justice Boy, he was in fact going for the kill, but never succeeded. Thus, he is virtually on Okoya's level, which isn't weak per se, but definitely not the higher end regarding the ranking currently in the story. Also considering that he kinda cheated at the start to pretty much initiate the stun lock or the chain of events during the fight. He may struggle quite a bit on rematches or against people with knowledge of his fighting style, but still he is very strong considering all the tools in his arsenal. Now the top 8 fighters left all kinda have a chance to defeat each other with various statements, and of course certain circumstances. At least they can be relative in some regards with various arguments being available. But rank 8 and 7 are interchangeable. having Naden and Lu Dongchen. We know Dong defeated Naden in a Purgatory match, with Carlos kinda implying Naden held back, also stating if Naden had fought Lu 10 times, he would have probably won more than half of them. But Naden in his flashback talking about Dong does say he wasn't used to Purgatory rules, but regardless, Lu Dongchen is strong. Dong is another fighter who isn't very consistent due to mood swings and a small frame not really helping, losing by ring out against a suppressed Lu Tien and one win and loss against a suppressed Fei. He also lost against Carlos, but does have this redeeming statement from Lolong: he's talented enough to go toe to toe with me, again flashing back to my statement at the start of this section. Very solid strikes with his Fa Jin being top tier, and other defensive and situational moves to make him very versatile. Naden is a high-ranking worm member who reports directly to the head, the only white tattooed member we've seen so far in the story. Gaolang comments on his resilience and that in pure strength, only the likes of Waka, Joyce and Ryan could match him. He has the ability called Eye of the Sky, which is pretty much a form of foresight involving predictions, and a form of hard redirection to disperse the opponent's power, kinda like draining them. He's kinda a special case with his whole mission connecting to Garuyuki, which will most likely be explored and explained later in the series. You could say he has been holding back during his time in Purgatory, but it's kinda disproven by the way he praises Lu Dongchen. We don't actually know his record, but he most likely hasn't had very many matches. Again, he could be much higher, but we really don't know. Hopefully more gets revealed in the future about his true power. Next is another group ranking, making up rank 6, 5 and 4. Featuring Tola, Carlos and Lu Tien. Let's start with a character most people in the fandom seem to downplay quite a bit, Carlos Medel. Firstly, he's the fastest when it comes to speed on Team Purgatory at a base level, while being a master of pre-initiative, the apex of foresight and described as the ultimate ability in Ashura. As such, his pre-initiative or predictions is much better than the likes of Naden. You can make the argument that he's the best striker in Purgatory as well, considering this statement from Tola, and us learning that Tola has faced Lolong in the past and lost, with this just being confirmed even more with Lolong's reveals about being an all-rounder who focuses more so on adapting to his opponent rather than being the pinnacle of like striking per se. He's defeated Dong in a match and potentially peak in this case, considering that Carlos is aware of what switched on Lu can do. As such, he gets out of hand. Regardless, his profile mentions that his fighting style changes by the day, and we may see him stronger next time he fights. Considered a legend in boxing, while being compared to the likes of Kroki Baoma in the fact that he was too strong that his depression hit. We also even have Drot to compare his whole being too strong thing to Carlos as well, which is again proving this point even more. All this should be more than enough to accept him this high, and some could say he should be much higher. But for the people who say, oh, he just can't damage people, he was able to crack Gaolang's bone with this kick. Also felt like he had the ability to shatter Gaolang's fist. Of course that didn't happen due to Gaolang's partial training, but Carlos clearly has strikes capable of damaging bones, at least for someone like Gaolang. He also combines 3 martial arts in his Gaolang fight to be very lethal, having the ability to target vitals and skill to knock out a Koya with a single clean blow. This high skill, speed, pre-initiative mastery, decent power and tactics leaves Carlos around the top without a doubt. Tola is also very dangerous, having power on par with Julius according to his character profile. As such, a single blow can turn the tides of a fight with most people in the verse. And of course, some Nico style like moves, including a similar technique to Demon's Bane, with the only potential difference is Tola's version isn't stated to be formless, regardless very OP. Also, if you consider the fact that he faced Lolong in a Purgatory match, and this panel here, he's by default one of the top in the ranking for the A-listers. Lu Tien with his hacks to the max, gaining the title of the strongest Demon Fist while being suppressed, but to be fair, Fei was suppressed as well. Mastery of perfect Formless and didn't use Formless until his Kano fight, being a top tier in Purgatory without even showing a glimpse of his power. Being able to trade blows with Kano like this for 5 minutes before overwhelming him. Only being at a disadvantage when Kano pulled out his Martial Arts X Formless without lag, with Kroki even saying he isn't sure he can defeat that Kano, but also has access to the removal or Guhan, same thing, to amp his stats even more, and of course possessing some downsides when doing this. However, Formless alone gets him up here for me personally, Due to how awkward others view it and how hard it is to deal with apart from characters like Kano, the only fighter on Team Kengan who understands it, and you could say he was the most likely to defeat Liu Tian on Team Kengan. His character profile also states there's no doubt that he is a top class in terms of the whole series. Similar to Elwood, he just got unlucky in fighting Kano Gito, who's potentially the top of the verse. Third, I have Jirota, stated to be on par with Lolong, having such a high level of redirection with his judo that he surpassed Oma in redirection skill, thus has the ability to blitz all with his initial throw, even the fist eye, can use nothing but the friction of skin to throw people. He was also limited by Purgatory rules and his own beliefs, with Lolong stating that he's too strong to fight in Purgatory. Pretty much the top of the A class, not considering the 2 potentially 3 worms who were suppressed. Second is Faye, who in short is a monster, broken Nico style moves capable of clowning on Waka, who even had experience against Nico style prior. Then we have his Divine Demon, which is like a fusion of the Advanced and Fallen Demon, but also has output surpassing Oma's maximum output with his Advance, and even the Kure clan's removal, freaking everyone out with his insanity apart from one, rank 1, which is of course Lolong. I plan to make a dedicated How Strong is Lolong video shortly, but I think most people understand why he's here. The other Purgatory fighters pretty much say so, and he does kinda imply when talking to Oma that Oma is stronger than Faye and that Oma will give him a better fight than what Faye could. As such, he should be stronger than Faye. So yeah, this is my Team Purgatory ranking. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know your ranking down below. If you disagree with everything with valid reasoning, let me know as well. Join the Discord, follow my Twitter, subscribe, and as always, shout out to these people who support the channel via the Patreon. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.